I got a time limit today. So, what I wanted to, well, hey, first of all, good afternoon, everybody, morning, evening, wherever you are. Um, so, what I wanted to start with today was Jamal's scanner that he had posted in the Discord for everyone. And we have been doing kind of showing you alternatives to run Strat since it's down. So this is another one. I showed you Frank's scanner last week. So this is his scanner that you can use in Thinkorswim. So it's in the Discord channel. I forget which one. I think you put in the Scripts and Studies channel. And then when you load it up, it looks like this. So the best way to organize it, because it's basically every strat signal, is to load it up like this and then delete the ones you don't want and save them. So as an example, I'm going to delete all of them except for the 3-1. So then I would use this and then I would save it as 3-1. So I've done that with like the 2-2 reversal, the 3-2 down, the 3-2 up, the rev strat. And the way it shows up like this is you can, and in fact, let me correct myself because I said go down to 1, but go down to 2. That way you don't have a ton of them like I do. And then what you can do is when it opens up like this, just delete 1 if you're bullish or bearish. So you see how it has the rev strat bullish or bearish. If you scan it like this, it's going to actually pull up a lot of stocks. So you just would delete 1 and then say, okay, I'm going to scan by the week and then see, are there any rev strat bullish weekly scans? Nope, we have nothing. So another one, let's just go back and do it again. Let's say we took off the 3s and when we wanted to just look at inside bars, that's my favorite. So you can do that, scan for it by the week, and it'll pull up all of them. And I have it sorted by volume, of course, which is the highest volume. And then once you set that up, you have the inside one, you can save it. So you save it as inside. And the way you pull it up is to load your personals and they'll all be right there. So that's just basically the short end of it. I mean, don't really have to go into much more detail, but yeah, it's just about saving it. And then once you do that, you'll have this list of strat scans that you can use with that. He also did this call options hack and put options hack. I haven't really gotten that one down, but this one is really key. It helps outside of Frank's scanner. So that's all I had on that one. Give me 1 second and let me switch up real quick. Getting into our stuff. So looking at the main guys, what I really wanted to point out here on the weekly is that VIX has an inside shooter. So it's been kind of acting a little strange lately, but I tend to try to go with VIX. It still has a little bit more it can drop. This next support I see here is 22. So of course, if that continues to drop, then the market may push. So it's something we want to keep in mind. Looking at them all on the daily, you see the Dow is still above the 200. The Russell rejected it, and the NASDAQ hasn't quite reached it. But the VIX is looking like, it can still keep going. That's what I really wanted to point out with that. So we know that basically this last week was kind of crappy. I think that a lot of it had to do with the fact that SPY opened up those new contracts, and you know how it acts on 0-day expiration days. So wait, hold on. I think we got a hot mic. A second. Okay. We know that how it acts on 0 days. So I'm thinking that that kind of accounts for some of the chop. And then also low volume because we're getting closer to the holiday season. So we can kind of expect that it's going to be low volume. So looking at it on the week, us being above the 8 is kind of bullish, but this is like a serious doji of indecision here. So Microsoft I do kind of like because I like the range of this candle. If it does break to the downside, we do know that it hit those new 52-week lows and then it boomed. So if it does not continue and VIX reverses and we decide we're going to be bearish, that's a nice range right there. And of course, obviously these look the same because they mirror, or Apple and Microsoft are the cues. But if you're not playing those, then this would be the ideal replacement. But yeah, this we're finding some support here, so just kind of have to see where this goes. On the daily, you see that we are at this 200 EMA resistance. One thing I wanted to point out was that we did this before, way back here, right? Same 200 EMA, and not the SMA, but the EMA. So we came and we had like trouble right around there, resistance, blah, blah, blah. And then it boomed and it wanted to touch this before it finally fell. So we could be dealing with that same thing right here, where that's why we deal, the combination of the new contracts, low volume, where we are, it seems like we're kind of doing that same thing right now, where if like I said, if the VIX decides to be red and we do boom, we can boom up to here and touch this SMA like we did back here, which also would fill this gap that's still hanging out here. Keep in mind also there's a gap also way up here, but I doubt, we'd have to be super bullish to get all the way up there in my opinion. But I do think that we could possibly touch here if we decide to really move. And it's kind of the same thing over here with Apple. Back here we had that trouble around the 200 and then boom. This one, Apple, though, it went way above the 200 before it decided to come back down. So just kind of have to see what these do. Microsoft's still way below it, so just keeping in mind that these two can really hold the market or drop it. If everything else, you've seen that before, if everything else is falling, then Microsoft is not falling and the market can't really fall like it wants to because Microsoft is holding it up. So we want to keep those things on our radar. Also looking at the support here. Remember we had this inverse head and shoulders. It kind of boomed. I said a while ago that it was really only negated under 360 and it really never came back down here. So that was almost like a fake out right there because it was still a higher low. And if you notice that we have not made a lower low since here, it's only been higher lows. So we keep that in mind as far as who is in control. Okay, no, not that. All right, so looking at the small caps, again, looks like everything else. It kind of had the same thing, choppy week, but ended as a red 2 up. A lot of things ended as red 2 ups, and they were either strong shooters, dojis, or just kind of like this. So you just kind of have to see if they break to the downside next week or not. But again, looks like we have some support here because we are above all of the EMAs and we closed above them. Oh, wrong one. On the day, we are still finding, now this is a little bit different because we have both of these EMAs are close and we have our first rejection here. So we would have to basically see what it does here. Is it going to continue to reject and go down? But once again, we have higher lows here to keep in mind. So it has not really reversed. It's kind of going on a channel upwards. We're at the top of these broadening formations though, so that's probably where the most struggle is at. Yeah, the reason it's bounced here is because it took these folks out. It has a gap here. A lot of them have gaps that are unfilled to the downside and to the upside. So, you know, we got this gap here at 178, and then, oh no, this one was filled. There really aren't any to the upside. And then XLE, y'all know we've been watching oil for the longest. Oil, let me update this. Oil does not want to fall. Actually, I'm gonna wait for the weekly for that. It doesn't want to fall yet. It's just going. It's continuously making new highs. It's pulling back and then finding support and still going. So, you know, we even have a gap on the week here that has not been filled. So, yeah, as long as oil continues to show us, sorry, my mouse is messing up, continues to show us that it's still strong, I will continue to think that it's not too ready to drop yet. The only thing that gives me pause here is we finally broke under the 8 and found some support here. So if we can break this 21, then that will let me know it's ready to drop. Because, I mean, look from back here. It has not broken the 21. Every time it's hit it, it's bounced. So if it does go, though, we do have gaps to the downside that we can target. Big old gaps. So we are at the top of this broadening formation. You know, just kind of have to see what it does. I mean, on the day, look at it though. We have a hammer. So bull stepped in and it's sitting in between these two. So just kind of have to see. I mean, if it's ready to go, it definitely can push above this 8 and go right back to the top of that broadening formation. So McDonald's, we've been watching for a while. We've been watching McDonald's since back here. And I told y'all that we were bullish because we have been above this 200. We've stayed above it. They had decent earnings, and then it kept going. And now it's looking like it's ready to pull back. Do y'all see this? As I always talk about it. Shoulder, head, shoulder. Yep. So just have to see though, because of course time frame continuity is a little mixed here, but you know, we know that this does need a little bit of correction. We know the pattern we have here. It could definitely continue to go, but I'm looking for this to honestly H here, which would complete that shoulder and come back down. May not come all the way down here, you know, but some type of correction, maybe at least to fill this gap. So keep McDonald's on your watch list. And we have been watching snow. Of course, snow is a really good mover, y'all. It really is. And yeah, basically, I think it was on the week I wanted to point out. Yes, this beautiful shooter. So if this shooter goes in force, then, you know, we have some downside to target. And we have this gap here. Now, Snow has earnings on December 7th. So just keep that in mind. I mean, it makes sense that they would maybe beat it down to send it up. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it does on earnings. I don't usually pay earnings. So look at that. Last earnings, they gapped way up, like wow. And see, yeah, I don't take that gamble, but and then this one, it looks like they went down. Yeah, so that's a gamble, but you can play it up until. And also because snow is a little expensive, playing earnings would be like oof. With that IV, I wouldn't even recommend that. So let's look at SOXL, just because we also have been watching chips. And y'all know this is the cheaper alternative to the chips. Chips seem to have found some support. We're still 2 up on the month, but barely. So We do have a new 2-week candle starting tomorrow. I wanted to mention that. So I guess I just have to see if this is ready to move. Does this take out these lows? No, it did not. It didn't. Looking at on the week though, we have a rejection here. The last time we got up here, we rejected, and we really haven't been above it since it crossed. So yeah, I have to see if they bulls have enough steam to, I guess, push this. Yeah, we do have a small gap. Nope, that was filled. Yeah, that gap was filled. So and we do have one to the downside. So that's SLXL. We also have been watching BA. It didn't do a whole lot here. But of course, y'all know I'm going to point this out because we are above the 200 here. And what I do like is that we did come up. We had some sideways action, and we have our corrective action to the 8, and then just have to see what it does from here. It could come down here and test this, or it could keep going. I mean, y'all know that BA has upside. It's also an inside week. It's red, but it's an inside week. Breaking this range here, we could go into this range. So have to see what BA does. It may be tired of being in a downtrend. It's been in a downtrend for a long time. So, but it's broken out of this downtrend that it was stuck in for a while. Oh, actually, no, it has not. Well, that hit wrong, like all wrong. Yeah, I think it's the magnet mode thing. This thing is just not. Okay, it hasn't hit it yet. So yeah, it would need to break 185 really to get out of this long-term downtrend. It's kind of off a little bit because that thing is like really being funky right now. Move this stuff out my way. Okay. Okay, so yeah, maybe I can move this up a little bit. Okay, so yeah, 190 will get us out of this downtrend. But we are above the 200, so just have to see if we can hold. You know, it hasn't been above it in a very long time. And so then I wanted to point out Oracle. I liked Oracle because if it can break above 80, then we can target this next monthly, then and make it out of this little range here. So I just kind of wanted to put that on your radar. I think I had was it on the day? No, I think it was just a monthly trigger that I wanted to show y'all. Oh, and that it was above the 200. And you see how it's been kind of respecting this 8. Oracle is not that expensive, so y'all know I like to bring the cheapies to y'all attention. HD is another one that is actually in force on the month. It took out this first target, but it does have a little bit of magnitude left. If it decides to keep going to this 333, and you do have this little tight spot here, but you know, if it can break this range, it can continue going. So, and we are above the 200 on the daily. And then Target, y'all know that it had the earnings at the last two earnings actually has made it gap down, but it filled this gap over here and then immediately kept going. So I really feel like this could be an either way play, because, you know, this could have just been shorts covering, not necessarily them trying to go for this gap, but they could be trying to go for this gap. So that's quite a move right there. I think this would need some time, but that's a move right there that can be taken advantage of. Otherwise, it could have been just a correction to these EMAs, and it can, this is, even though it's a gap here, it can still H. It still makes an H pattern. So it can still continue to fall, and it may want to keep going. If I'm not mistaken, it was the monthly? Yeah, it was the monthly. That if it does H and keep going, it can finish the outside month. So just putting target on y'all radar. Yeah, so you got this gap, and then of course there's also this gap up here, and it's target. You know, you got the holiday season coming up. They may actually, this could have been the drop, and it could have run up to the next earnings season, which is when they report Black Friday and all of that, which should be better. So although they did guide it, I think their guidance was lower for the Black Friday season. Not quite sure, but yeah, just wanted to put that on your radar. Yeah, no worries. All right, so PayPal. Oh, first I wanted to show y'all PayPal in the week. I was saying, we were saying, you know, there's a lot of shooters on the week. Really like this shooter. It's not as strong because it didn't close down here, but it did just barely close under the EMAs. As you can see, we're definitely under the, I think that's a 20. Yeah, we're definitely under the 20, but it looks like it, yeah, it closed right under the 8. So, you know, really like this for more downside and the range. 76 would be your target on the week. Just want to mention that Square's chart looks similar, but we like PayPal better. But yeah, if it can't, you also see, wait, I think it's the daily. Yeah, you see that 200 rejection that we got there. We made that higher high, rejected, and came back in, and then we have an inside day here. EMAs are about to cross, so yeah, and then we have a gap to the downside. There's a nice pattern there too on the 4-hour. Y'all see? It rejects every time. Like, it just cannot get above this 200 here. So there was one more. I'm gonna show the community. What was that I had sent you? Was it crowd? I think it was crowd. Yeah, so I just wanted to one more for y'all. Let's look at this pattern that it's had since it really touched the 200 back here. It has a habit of going right back here to these 8s and rejecting. Up, reject, up, reject. So we have a gap here to fill if it decides it wants to continue that pattern. On the daily, it'd be a 3-2 down. So, yep.